Huh?
Actually, I have a question for you, Grace, because I haven't been able to find an answer so far. What was the big deal with Kodachrome? I like the color. I understand it's a K13 process, but I just
14.
understand. Oh, sorry,
Uh,
K15?
14.
Oh, 14. I just didn't understand why it was so different, or
Uh,
why it couldn't be replicated.
Kodachrome was a 25 ISO film, so it had virtually undetectable grain. And it was such a weird process that the color. Long story short, it just was a much more stable process, so it wouldn't change as much. You would get a lot more archive. It was a lot more archival, and so it was good color. It was really saturated. It was one of the more saturated Kodak films, but it was really the 25 ISO part of it. But the downside of that is because it's transparency film, it doesn't have a lot of latitude if you fuck up exposure. You have to nail it.
You gotta nail it, yeah.
You really have to nail it. And sometimes you're in situations where you just can't. And it was also more expensive to process because I think even at the time I was doing it, and it might have been the height of film, I think there was only like 3 or 4 labs in the country and maybe 6, 7 in the world that would process Kodachrome, so it always had to get sent out. And I think A&I was one of the places that was authorized to do.
Wow.
I had some Kodachrome done through A&I.
Yeah. And so a lot of people went to E6. Kodachrome and Kodak's thing was proprietary, so you had to be authorized to do it. E6, I can't remember who developed it. Might have been Fuji, I'm not sure. But it was a much more accessible process, so most people did that, but it wasn't as stable.
That's really interesting. I've only found one place that says they still do K14 for certain cases.
Mm-hmm.
But I also am not sure if it's real or not.
It might be a bastardized version of it. I don't know. I haven't kept up on it.
So what now flip the coin.
You can still process, it just won't be the exact quality. Like I cross-process film all the time. I do negs in positive chemistry. I've done positives and negative chemistry. I've used not the correct chemistry, and it just changes the color a little bit, the contrast.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool though.
For all these reasons, I just don't shoot film. It's just too hard to get consistency.
And digital is